Over the past few days, we have been noting that Nelson Chamisa would be in the United Kingdom to do various meetings with Zimbabweans, engaging Zimbabweans, undertaking consultations, hearing about hearing from them. It appears Nelson Chamisa is in the process of forming a new organization. I don't know what is exactly the consultation is all about, but it is political, specifically concentrating on the issues of Zimbabwe. About 50 minutes ago, he has taken it to social media to share some visuals about the activities that he had at the United Kingdom. Greetings and welcome to your lovely channel, the Hlonipani Global News. If you're watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button so that next time when we beam live, you become the very first to watch. So, sharing on his social media account, this is what Nelson Chamisa had to say. He says, "Full house in Manchester, that is in the in United Kingdom." He says, "Last night I had the privilege of engaging with fellow Zimbabweans in Manchester in a powerful and inspiring conversation about the future of our nation. The passion, patriotism, and determination in the room were unmistakable. We, the citizens, are united by a shared belief that Zimbabwe can and must do better. From every corner, the message is clear. The desire for renewal is growing stronger, and the commitment to building a prosperous, democratic, and inclusive Zimbabwe is unwavering. We are solid everywhere. Zimbabwean citizens here are warm, engaged, and firmly behind the new and the next steps in our collective journey towards a new and great Zimbabwe. Together, we will continue to organize, inspire, hope, and work tirelessly until our shared vision." Let me hear what people in the streets had to say to Nelson Chamisa. You know, sometimes these streets are so ruthless. And Evangelist Bullet says, "You are always in my prayers, Mr. President." Say, them busy calling you names, us busy praying for our country, and you. At the end, we shall see what win. Prayers and fasting against their insults and name calling. Jesus Christ is our Father, the Rock of Ages. Okay? Democracy is freedom, says, but Nelson Chamisa, you did not do anything about Cap 3, Zimbabwean politics, and people have moved on without you. You see, that's why I said these streets are very, very sometimes unkind to everybody. And then Kwarazimba says, "If there is one thing I've consistently done is defend you, Mkoma, whenever people accuse you of having been bought or being a CIO operative whose only role is to waste people's time. I've always pushed back against those accusations because I don't believe they are true. What I believe is something entirely different. I don't think you are a sellout, just a complete coward. I call you a coward. That's why I said these streets can be very, very ruthless. I call you a coward because you know exactly what you are dealing with, yet you refuse to act accordingly. You have repeatedly described Urumende as what you and many of us believe it is, an authoritarian regime. What do you continue? Why do you continue to insist on confronting it as though it were a functional democracy? That contradiction is impossible to ignore. I think he's raising very important questions. You cannot spend years telling people that the country is under authoritarian and then expect them to believe that ordinary democratic tactics alone will persuade those in power to surrender that power. History simply does not support that belief. Deep down, you know that the government today is democratic only on paper. In practice, it no longer behaves like a genuine democracy. It operates like an authoritarian system. Your strategy should reflect that reality instead of pretending that the democratic institutions you have repeatedly said have been captured will somehow deliver democratic outcomes. Action Baba background instead of wasting time flying around for fake consultations and engagement. Morgan called for action for far less than what ZANU-PF has done now. What are you waiting for? Ndiwe wakatambidzwa chimuti ichi. If you are failing to fill this his shoes, tambidza someone else instead of just leaving a vacuum as you did before this fake comeback. Did Morgan leave the dance floor without appointing someone as you did? Itai Mushe Mkoma, you owe the Zimbabwe people that much. That's why I call you a coward. Not because I think you have been bought, but because I believe you recognize the reality of the situation and still refuse to match your actions to your own diagnosis. You should speak boldly about the nature of the regime. Yet, when it comes to deciding how to confront it, you retreat into the very democratic framework you insist no longer truly exist. And the cash talk says, don't look back, President Nelson Chamisa. You are our last hope and Zimbabwe's foot forward. Someone like Kindlov says, useless gathering. The real fight is in Zim on the ground. Now, I remember when these announcements were made, there is this gentleman who commented called Guarazimba. It may seem is insulting. He says he has been defending Nelson Chamisa. I think I must say I, for one, also has appreciated the role that has been played by Nelson Chamisa. And understand, the role also to actually watch the Cap 3 drama, the Blessed Revolution drama, and to me, I could have possibly did the same, taking into consideration what the man has gone through, your political party being taken from you, being betrayed by your allies remaining, with the system, benefiting from the system, saying statements that are not in solidarity with you, and everybody blaming you at some point. This gentleman is saying, I've been defending Nelson Chamisa for quite some time. And I'm saying so also. But, Nelson Chamisa, when it comes to characterizing the problem of Zimbabwe, is very brilliant. He has properly identified the problem. And also he has acknowledged how difficult it is actually to address the problem. And he has acknowledged that we are dealing with a cool, fool demagogue that would not just take democratic endeavors to remove it, but take measures to deal with it, to uproot it. But this gentleman is saying he is failing to acknowledge that the route that has been used for quite some time, Morgan Tsvangirai, people would say he was not, they would blame him, but he made some mistakes here. But the man, when it comes to confronting the regime, he confronted it. I think if it was during the days of social media, Mugabe would not have survived. Now Nelson Chamisa has the advantage of social media in terms of mobilization, in terms of I don't want to judge that he is totally not doing something on ground. I don't want to judge that he may not have instructed his lieutenant to do the job on the 31st, because 31st of July protest, I've seen even the outlets that support Nelson Chamisa saying that is the right way to do. Even his speech, he has said he's against Cap 3. And people expected him to just jump to Blessed Gaza. Remember, this is the man who was betrayed. I understood his stance. And also, if the Blessed Gaza revolution relied on an individual, then it could have been a lost cause, because we saw the supporters of Nelson Chamisa supporting Blessed Gaza revolution. And still up to today, there are some who are still at large supporting the Blessed Gaza revolution. That is the truth. But you know, I'm against this. It has been consultation. I remember the moment the political party of Nelson Chamisa was taken away, he began to do consultations throughout Zimbabwe. Now he is going to UK diaspora. For how long will these consultations continue, whilst ZANU-PF continue to do what it is doing now? You know, that is the mind-boggling question. Anyway, we don't also expect him to give us publicly his strategies as one of the, popular politicians based on elections that took place in 2023. There hasn't been any election so far that determines the popularity of any leader except those elections. You can't even, this bill was nonsense. It was a hijacked, it was a corrupted process. So we cannot really say this process makes Mnangagwa popular or ZANU-PF to have an upper hand. That's why they fear even demonstrations, because they know demonstrations will expose them. And Mnangagwa, knowing who he is, how evil he is, it may be a disaster for him. It may even mark his end, because he may unleash terror, and the world may not stand by watching him unleashing terror on innocent civilians. Thank you very much for watching us. If you are watching us for the very first time, please do remember to press the red or black subscribe button, so that next time when we film live, you become the very first one to watch us. You can financially support this channel by pressing the join button and be part of our members who are the heartbeat of this channel. You can equally do so by pressing the thanks button and send us stars. Wakangubu Mhlabane is signing off. Let me love and leave you. Let's meet on the other of the live broadcast, definitely, as I give and unpack more. This phone is that I don't know what is happening days on YouTube. Sometimes you just want to cancel the live broadcast, and then it becomes a problem. I don't know what happens. It happens.